Why hello there, my name is Mountain, and today I'd like to talk to you about this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, this is the Able Carry Max Pack 30 liter. Now, as the name Max suggests, this is the largest in terms of the current lineup of the bags offered by Able Carry. You can see their logo right here. They're a Hong Kong-based manufacturer of some really great EDC daily use bags and now one bag travel bags. According to their website, this is intended both for use as a one-bag travel bag and ostensibly as a larger EDC bag, possibly a Goldilocks type bag, which is to say a bag that you can travel from point A to point B with and then use as your daily bag at that destination. Although I do believe that depends a little bit on your frame size and kind of just how chunky of a bag you want to carry. Now, its main claim to fame is that this has got a really robust and chunky build, as you can see. This really eye-catching VX21 X-Pac material, coupled with some really robust, Cordura, 1000D Cordura, and great hardware across the bag. Lots and lots of organization on this bag, both in terms of externally accessible pockets, and then tons of pocketing on the inside, as well as some options for customizability with some loops I'll show you. Some of the main hesitations I had around this bag, first of all, it's a little bit stiffer and tighter in places, particularly this back frame sheet, but other crucial interactions than I was expecting. And there isn't a lot of stretch in some places where I would have been, or flex or stretch, and places where I would have been expecting flex or stretch to be. And that makes using the bag or accessing the bag a little bit tighter, a little bit harder than you might expect. It's definitely really robustly built. You can see just from looking at it and just from handling it. It's overbuilt, I would even say, in some situations, in some cases or places, but that also makes this a very heavy bag, even when it's empty. It's a 30-liter bag that honestly looks bigger than 30 liters, but maybe holds a little bit less than other 30-liter bags on the market, depending on how you're carrying your load out here. So before we go any further, I wanna make sure that I highlight that I thank Able Carry for sending this bag to me for review. However, all the opinions I'm gonna express in this review are my own. They're not gonna be able to see this video until it actually goes live on the site. So let's talk a little bit about who this bag is for and who it's not for. So as I mentioned, I think that this bag is going to be great for one bag travelers, particularly people who are a little bit larger, more muscular or taller, because this is a pretty chunky bag. If you're such a person, you could probably use this bag as an EDC bag, like it gets a little bit smaller when it's not fully packed out at your destination. I think it's going to be a great bag for people who are hard on their bags, like this VX21 X-Pac and then 1000D Cordura, and just like this really, really robust stitching and materials on this bag. See, I've been using this bag for a couple of months and there's a little bit of dirt and stuff on it, but it's held up really, really well. I think that it might be a good bag for people who want to carry a ton of stuff. And I'll show you just very briefly inside of this bag here, a ton of stuff inside on a daily basis and want a big compartment to throw things into, but still have enough organization to be able to, access your pens and pencils and your tech on a daily basis here. Now, in terms of who this bag maybe is not for, like I said, it is a bit of a chunkier bag. And so if you're a little bit smaller or you prefer to travel lighter, this may not be the best choice. Additionally, I think that kind of use as an EDC pack really only applies if you're a little bit of a larger, taller person. Smaller frame folks are probably going to be overwhelmed trying to use this as an EDC bag at the destination or just as a general EDC bag. Additionally, while it does have a ton of access, the overall capacity to size ratio of this bag, I would say, is a little bit lower than I would have liked. And I'll talk about some of the reasons for that. It basically has to do with some of just the overbuiltness of parts of this bag and just kind of, maybe the lack of elasticity of the X-Pac material. So if you're a person who really wants to maximize what you carry in the smallest possible package, this may not be the best choice for you. With that having been said, let's start by looking at the exterior of this bag. Now, as I mentioned, this bag is made out of X-Pac VX21. It's a really robust X-Pac. You're going to notice these really robust YKK reverse coil zippers here and AquaGuard zippers here, excuse me. Lots of strapping everywhere on this bag. And that purposefully, I guess, they leave these kind of loops everywhere, including like on the shoulder harness and such, for you to be able to run carabiners or clips or straps and such through there. This bag gives you a lot of points to kind of customize and run your own kind of like cabling and such through there. The bag does stand up on its own. This is pretty fully loaded out. This is just how I had it on a recent trip. If it's less loaded out, it will kind of tip forward a bit, but this is actually not too bad. It's a very stiff backpack, which we'll talk about when we talk about the frame sheet, but like there is, like you will feel you're carrying a big chunky bag on your back, and it looks like you're carrying a big chunky bag on your back. It's not as wide as some other bags, but it is very deep and it is very kind of, well, I guess chunky. I've said chunky several times, but that's really what it is. And it's kind of very notable, I think, in terms of that being one of its overwhelming, I guess, visual impressions when you look at the bag. The other bits of it are, besides, again, these straps and the X-Pac, is just sort of, it's got this techie vibe, but not too techie, like for example, like a Peak Design travel bag or something like that, but it definitely will stand out, I think, from some of the other big black travel bags here. Now, the other thing I mentioned about this very briefly is it has this A-frame at the bottom here. So it's 1000 D Cordura at the bottom for abrasion and wear resistance. It's also on the back of the bag. And this A-frame strapping is supposed to help the bag keep its shape when it's less filled out and helps it from sagging. I think they call it their anti-sag A-frame. It does work really, really well. I find that it helps keep the load a little bit more stable on my back, and again, keeps the bag kind of from sagging when it's less packed out here. So with that having been said, next let's look at the, I guess, external straps on the bag, and then we'll get into some of the pockets and all that. So starting from the side, it has this really robust side handle. As I mentioned, there's just straps everywhere on this bag, but they don't like dangle, which I think is quite nice. So this is just a simple nylon strap, really robustly stitched into the side of the bag here. And it's got a firm material inside. Like, it's a fairly comfortable handle. You could carry the bag, and it is pretty heavily loaded out actually right now. For quite a distance, I would say, with this strap. I have actually, like, run through the airport with it like this, or through a train station, more than the airport just once. I find that it's pretty stable actually in terms of how it's located on the bag. You can see it's a little bit towards the middle. Not quite all the way in the middle, but it's a little bit towards the middle, and that gives it, a fairly stable purchase. Gives you a stable purchase and keeps the bag from sagging too much. This is quite heavily loaded out. There is no other handle on this side, no handle on the bottom, but there is another handle at the top, which is similarly constructed in exactly the same way. So this kind of hard, but slightly soft material. I don't know, if some dense rubber, I think, is probably kind of stitched in here. And as mentioned, there's all these loops across everywhere for you to clip things into on the bag. So if we were to flip the bag, sorry, actually, here's the A-frame. There's a big pass through here, and then a loop here, and the loops here and here and here, etc. Now, if we're to turn the bag around, we're going to see one more, I guess, loop, which is here at the top for hanging ostensibly like on the back of a, like a public bathroom toilet or something like that, have those pegs that stick out. It's a little bit hard to get that to reach all the way to, there's quite a distance here from the back of the bag to this top carry handle. So this loop is to hang it off of that. And then we see actually the load carriage system. Now, it's these two very, very thickly padded shoulder straps, and they are very, very thickly padded amongst, I would say, some of the more densely padded shoulder straps of any of the bags that I own. There's no load lifters on these, which I personally find is fine. Some people mention that they prefer to have load lifters, but for me, I think that given the stiffness of this frame sheet in particular, and kind of where the weight lies when this bag is packed out, you're going to be okay without them. So the shoulder straps themselves, have this nice mesh on the back here. I like this one because it seems to me like it will pill less than some of the rougher air weave or air mesh that you see on some kinds of bags. It's got this straps at the top here, And then they do narrow a little bit towards the bottom, but not too aggressively, which I like. Duraflex hardware, strap keepers on here integrated into the strap, so fairly dangle free. And then you've got this X-Pac over the top here, which hides an adjustable sternum strap that slides up and down a simple chain within, a fair amount of I guess, adjustability. And this is a magnetic sternum strap, which is great with an integrated strap keeper. Very well simply executed in terms of the shoulder strap, but I like it a lot, and it's very reliable, easy to close and open with one hand thanks to the magnets. And then you can actually tuck these away inside of this flap a bit if you don't like them kind of hanging everywhere. And you have this Hypalon loop detail with the Able Carry branding on the front here. Normally, I would think that that's for like running a hydration hose, but since there's no hydration port on here, my guess is that, it's to give you an area to secure like a, what do you call it? Like an attachable cell phone pocket or something like that. Now, the frame sheet on this pack is really, really stiff. And I'm gonna show you what I mean here. I open it up, like this is a stiff frame sheet. And there's a lot of padding, especially if you include these air channels, which I'll talk about in a second. A lot of padding, and then you put your devices in here, and then it becomes even stiffer. And that's something that was really notable to me. So on the one hand, because these are very comfortable shoulder straps, very well padded, when I would put this on and clip the thing in and cinch it down and locked in, it felt really secure, and like this really helps, the thickness helps with the weight, and it is a big chunky bag, so there's a fair amount of weight pulling back on you if it's fully loaded out. But this stiff frame sheet in the back helps distribute some of that weight and keeps it stable on your back, but it's also like wearing a board on your back. Like there's not a lot of flex on here, and you will feel that. You got the same great kind of mesh on the back here with an air channel and then a luggage pass-through. It's an okay luggage pass-through. It's not my favorite. It's not the worst. It's very simple and out of the way, which I like. When the bag is fairly well packed out, you get a little bit of a bowing effect. So that, normally I prefer it to be a little bit flatter against the back, but you can see it kind of bows out a little bit, it curves out a little bit like this. But these kind of help cushion it, so it's not too bad. And like I said, you have that stiff frame sheet, which helps. I did wish it felt a little bit less like wearing a board on my back, but it is very comfortable because of the padding on this thing, on these shoulder straps and on this pad here. So next, let's look at the externally accessible compartments of this bag. So the first thing you're going to notice is this front slash pocket here on the front. It opens up about this far here, from here to here. And then on the inside, you're going to notice there is some further organization. So first, let me start with what I have inside of here, okay? So first of all, I have here like a Marvis toothbrush set, and that's kind of like if I need to brush my teeth or something on the go, just kind of, pull that out here. I have a X-Pac accessory pouch, which has like a chargeable battery and some iPhone charger, etc. in there. And then I have my keys on this lanyard here, which I'll show you in a second. Keys. And then I have inside of here Bellroy note taker with a pen. And then you can see here, we open it up. Let me see. So this is the front of the bag, bottom of the bag, and then we're going to open it up. So nearest to this side, we have a little bit stretchy pocket here. It's a little bit wider than you would expect just for pens. So you could fit like a flashlight or maybe a pocket tool or Leatherman or pocket knife in there. And then you have a slightly wider, stretchy, semi-stretchy pocket in there that you could fit like a field notes or a notebook or possibly your cell phone in there, but it's quite hard to get it in and out if you're in a hurry. Now, I mentioned at the outset of this video that there's some areas that have less stretch than I'd expect, and this stretch and this mesh has less stretch than I would expect. And that makes it a little bit tighter to get things in and out of than I would have liked. I just found that as a little bit of a friction of access. I don't usually find that to be a problem with mesh pockets. The next thing you notice is there's this kind of daisy chain looping here, attached to which is one keychain here. It's a very straightforward little clasp keychain here, key leash holder, excuse me. And you can just, remove this hitch knot, move it up and down, or move it to other places such as in this pocket, which I'll show you here in a moment. I like that actually. I thought that's like one area where there's just like this little options for you to do with as you like. The rest of this pocket goes all the way down to the bottom and it's just flat. It has a little bit of dimension, as you can see here, but actually it gets pretty tight. And that's something that, you know, again, I mentioned at the outset of this video, is partially because of the non-stretchy nature of X-Pac, partially because of just, I think there needed to be a little bit more dimension in this pack, or in this pocket. It just does feel a little bit tighter in this front area than I would like. Of course, it helps maintain a relatively sleek silhouette, but again, I wish there were just a little bit more stretch or give or dimension in there. And that has some implications for the inside of this panel, which I'll talk about in a moment. Flipping the bag to the side, we're going to see that you have another pocket here with a two-way. There's two, oops, sorry, make sure I'm grabbing the right zipper. There's two zippers on here, so you can run this track up and down however you like. And if you open it up, inside you see right away more of this daisy chain. Again, you can move like this key leash, you know, put it in here if you prefer to have it in there. I've done that. You can also carabiner or clip something in there that you don't want to lose, you know, or you have like a tool or something on a lanyard and it'll, you know, stay retained even if it falls out there. There's no further like inner organization in this pocket, but it is kind of, you know, fairly deep. It goes down to right around here. It has a little bit of volume, but not too much. So much of the volume is coming on the inside, which I'll show you in a moment here. I found it handy for keeping things like chapsticks or you know, things you want to grab on the go. I guess like, you know, eye drops, whatever in there. You can also put your phone in here, although again, you're manipulating with the handle here, so you might want to be careful. On the other side, we have this water bottle pocket that zips away to, you know, hide away when you're not using it, but has, again, that really stiff, slightly stretchy, but not as stretchy as you'd like, mesh, and that will fit easily up to a 1 liter Nalgene. This is not a 1 liter Nalgene. You can leave it zipped open like this, so you can get your drink on the go, and it actually retains it fairly well. This is a 18-ounce Purist water bottle, or you can actually zip it closed all the way, like tuck this water bottle into here, and then zip it closed all the way. It's not going to do it right now because the inside is super fully packed out, and I'll show you that in a moment here as well. I did find that, again, if there were a little bit more external stretch or flex, like when it was in the material, maybe or the construction, like another hidden gusset in here, you'd be able to fully zip that up even when the bag is fully packed out. But it's nice that you can leave this open like that. You can also tuck things like a tripod in there. I've done that, and then what's nice is because you do have these loops up at the top here, you can secure like a strap or something to keep your tripod tucked into there or secured in there when you're just running with this pocket open here. The last externally accessible pocket is up at the top here. They refer to it as like a hidden pocket. I use it as a quick stash pocket. Right now I just have a phone, an iPhone 11 Pro in there. The pocket does go down fairly deeply to right around here, but it's quite flat. And then I mentioned this stiff frame sheet before, and the location up at the top means it's actually really kind of hard to get things in and out of here, depending on the object, especially if you're trying to put something like earphones or earbuds or something in there. Like they'll bulge out, they'll make the whole back panel bulge out against your shoulders a little uncomfortably, and it's hard to get them in and out. Now, Able Carry suggests that you can put like your passport or your wallet or something like in there. For me, I chose to put those somewhere else, and use this as the quick stash pocket. It does work for that. Like I said, you know, it's just a little bit more frictionful of an access than I'd like. On the other hand, it is quite secure and protected by this flap. And that's really it for the external compartments of this bag. Now, let's talk about the tech panel of this bag first, and then we'll get into the main compartment. So, the tech compartment of this bag has a 3/4 opening. And what that means is it only opens this far on this side, and it opens down to here on this side. And inside, it opens up, stiff frame sheet, again, very, very stiff frame sheet, to reveal the kind of different compartments for organizing your tech in here. Now, the first thing I noticed, and one of my maybe a little bit, you know, frustrations with the daily interaction with this bag is I don't know why. I mean, I know why. Actually, I don't know why. this bag doesn't open all the way on both sides. The 3/4 panel, coupled with the very stiff frame sheet and kind of the thick padding, makes it like really hard, especially to get your tablet in and out of here, and we'll talk about that in a moment here. But even your laptop, I found it just more frustrating than I would have hoped, I guess, to interact with this, because I can't get in all the way and I can't get down to things that you might put in here, like your business papers, man, or whatever. It's hard to show you, so let me flip the bag like this. So now this is the back of the bag, this is the front of the bag. And so if we pull it down, like you can see, you can get the devices, but you can't make use of the big open space down to the bottom here. So inside of here, there is, first of all, a padded compartment for up to a 17-inch thinner laptop. But if you have like a thicker laptop, it might be hard to get it into here. Padded at the bottom, so you're not gonna have any problems if you drop the bag. And then in front, you have what looks like is supposed to be a tablet pocket here. It's weird because it only goes down this far. And so if I take something like this 11-inch iPad Pro and try and put it in here, it sticks up further than the laptop would. Like this is all the way down, and it sticks up further than the laptop, which I think is kind of odd. You can't really put anything of this size sideways, but a smaller one, like an iPad mini or something, might work. And then finally, there is looks like a pen pocket here. Again, I wish that this mesh were a little bit less stretchy, and I wish that this compartment were just a little bit less tight. I just found it a little bit frictionful, especially if I'm running both a laptop and an iPad together to get everything in there, because I can't open it up far enough to work it in there. Now, the other notable thing inside of here, and one of the great organizational features of this bag, is it has this top panel here, or top pocket, and you often see these in tech-oriented bags. Usually you expect people to put your laptop charger, your mouse, or whatever in there. That way you just open the tech panel and you have everything, or tech compartment, you have everything at your fingertips. In this particular case, you can absolutely do that. I'll talk about that in a second. I just have my passport in here, and a passport holder. I have a Bellroy Apex wallet, and then not much else. There are these 4 pockets lining the inside here, and a little loop here. So great in terms of like just lots of organizational options. The challenge I found is that these are really narrow, and again, this mesh does not stretch much. So if you take something like even as small as this Bellroy Apex wallet, one of the smallest wallets out there, it actually doesn't fit in there. I couldn't get it to fit in there. What will fit in there just barely is if you jam like a Magic Mouse, that'll fit just barely. It's very frictionful. Or like cables, or like a Samsung SSD, portable SSD or whatever. Those will fit nicely in here. Maybe a small battery for your camera, stuff like that. You can fit, of course, like a laptop charger in here. Just fit the brick in there. It won't fit in the pocket, but it will fit in this pocket, in this larger pocket overall. The zippers on this compartment and also on the main compartment do lock together, which is great. This is an AquaGuard zipper, so it's going to be waterproof. The main compartment, which we'll get to here in a second, is not. So, laying that down here, now we're going to get into the main compartment. This one opens up not quite all the way to the bottom. There's still a fair amount of lip at the bottom of the bag. It's really nice and easy to operate both this zipper, actually, and the AquaGuard zippers, which is not always the case for bags that have, like, especially AquaGuard zippers. So I really enjoyed how robust feeling these zippers were and how easy they were to open them. Now, this bag is ostensibly a clamshell, but I want to show something, and this is a problem I ran into a lot, and I haven't seen a lot of other reviewers talk about it, because usually they're reviewing the bag in an empty state. So, as I mentioned, you can put some stuff in here in this front pocket. It's very handy. But what happens is it falls to the bottom of the bag. So here I have like a notebook and I think my toothbrush and like maybe a battery or whatever, and it's all here. And because there's this lip right here, right? So the bag's flex point is here, but the bottom of this pocket is here. So items fall right across, you can see, right across the flex point of the clamshell. And so it won't they're stuck here, they're flat here. So what you have to do is fish and move everything up here so it's above the flex point, and then you can flap the bag open. But this happens a lot, right? As soon as you put the bag back, like this, you know, and then you're walking or whatever, the items are gonna fall back to the bottom of the bag across the flex point. I mean, here I pushed it down, but they will fall down naturally. And then when you go to open the bag, you're gonna have to move everything back so you can flex it open. For me, that was an annoying friction. And there are internal organizational pockets in here, but again, the mesh is just a little bit hard to use. The pocket is just a little bit hard to get into because there's no stretch or flex. So often I would just chuck things into the main compartment and they would fall to the bottom like that. A little bit of annoyance. So flipping the bag open, first you have on this back of the clamshell, let's see here. This is the top of the bag, this is the bottom of the bag. You have this mesh, big mesh pocket here, and then like this smaller kind of concealed pocket here. This is a very common arrangement on the back of clamshell bags. So here we go. I'm gonna, again, flip the bag just so you can see top of the bag here, and then this top dump pocket inside of here. Just have things like my Apple AirPods Pro, a highlighter, a coin pouch, some sanitizer gel. And then also inside of here, you do have more daisy chains for attaching anything. Like I really like all the daisy chains that are really unobtrusive, but give you all these options, and they're all across this bag. And then in this main mesh compartment here, it opens up. This mesh is a little bit stretchier than the mesh in the other pockets, but it's still nowhere near stretchy as something like you would find inside of a Bellroy bag, for example, here. And it doesn't have its own dimension, explicit dimension like you might see on the inside of like an Evergoods bag or something like that. In here, I like to keep flatter things that I want to keep access to. So a mask case, masks, and then like a little waterproof night eyes thing. I usually would have travel documents or important things in there. And those slot right into here. Again, no explicit dimension here, but it stretches a little bit, so the flat thing should be no problem. And the dump pocket is really nice for just being able to crack open the top of the bag and accessing things from the top like this. You can just get in and out of there. So beyond that, flexing this open, we now have the main contents of this bag. And like I said, this is packed out just how I had it from a recent trip. So here I have a Moment tech kit. This is the battery pouch, but I'm using it as a tech kit. I have Bellroy dot kit, one of my favorite dot kits. I have here a camera with a lens, integrated. This is the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark III with a 12-100 f4, which is a 24-200 full frame equivalent. And inside of here I have, this is the Mystery Ranch In and Out. I use this as the packable, foldable day pack because this bag is too big for me to use as an EDC bag. But if you can rock this in an EDC bag, you can skip this. And then I have, hair iron because you got to look good or else it don't matter. I have my exercise clothes and some shoes. I have a big Air packing cube with all my clothes inside of there. And then that gives you the inside of the bag here. And as you can see, it opens up fairly well. I wish, again, that this would go all the way to the bottom so then I wouldn't have that stiff panel opening issue there. It stands up on its own thanks to the stiffness of this material, which I like. It makes for very easy packing. Now, flipping it open, you're going to see right away, as I mentioned, all these daisy chains running down the sides, lots of great options, and then additional loops on the side. Again, I love how unobtrusive that is, but it gives you these options just to clip things in or secure them with carabiners if you don't want them to fall down or the bag's not too empty, or if the bag's a little bit empty or whatever, you're gonna clip something up here, etc. Stabilize them. On the inside here, you have again, that really not stretchy mesh pocket. And then this fights for space with this outside pocket. So you could, for example, use this as an internal water bottle pocket, but then that means that this external pocket is basically unusable. It's not, because it just intrudes right in there. You could put, like an umbrella or something like that in there, something you don't want to get lost in there. And then similarly, I think I mentioned that you can fit up to a 1 liter Nalgene bottle in here, but in this external pocket. When you do, you can see it clearly intrudes quite a bit inside of this main compartment. The main compartment ostensibly is 25 liters or so, I think. Anyway, overall, I really like how easy it is to pack out this main compartment. I like those subtle organizational features. Like I say, holds you know, a fair amount of stuff, actually, a surprising amount of stuff for the size, but there are bags on the market that simply hold much more than this for a smaller, I guess, overall visual appearance. Overall, I really do like this bag in terms of its chunky appearance. So chunky appearance is, you know, this X-Pac material, the really comfortable feeling shoulder straps. I'm not crazy about the stiffness, some friction of axis, and the lack of stretch in some of the key interactions. And I felt like this front flap was a little bit fussier than it needed to be due to some of the design choices and things kind of falling out in the bottom. But overall, it's a really great bag to use for one bag travel. And anyway, so that's it. If you're in the market for a bag like this, what are some other bags that you might like to consider? Well, first and foremost, there is what I consider probably one of the best competitors to the bag. This is the Bellroy Transit 28-liter bag. Now, technically, this is rated as smaller capacity than the Max here. Here's the Max, here's the Bellroy. You can see it looks like a much smaller bag, and it definitely looks like a much smaller bag, but I find it actually holds just as much, if not more, than the Max. And that is, you know, they are both, this bag is probably one of my favorite EDC Goldilocks one bag travel bags, right? Because it is small enough, I think, to be comfortably used as an EDC bag at the destination, but it holds, due to some really clever patterning and just like flex in the materials, everything that I have in here will fit in here, and I've traveled with this extensively, actually. It just has an incredible amount of depth to the bag. The clamshell opens up a little bit further than this one. I didn't have the same problems I had with this one with things falling in here and preventing me from flapping it open. It also has tons of great organization. So you're gonna have a front slash pocket here. These really hidden but super useful water bottle pockets, one on each side. Quite like that, actually. You do have the top quick stash pocket here, and then you also have a separate tech compartment here. And inside of that tech compartment, we also have this additional, you know, organizer for your laptop, charger, cables, etc. here. And then you have the same kind of two internal pockets here, but beyond that, you also have another internal vertical pocket here. So you can see very, very similar in terms of the overall organization offered to this bag. Now, what I consider maybe some of the advantages of this bag, besides the fact that it's just lighter, smaller, more usable as an EDC bag, holds just as much, has a much better, I think, size to capacity ratio. What I consider, I guess, well, I guess those are what I consider as the positives. What I consider some of the maybe negatives, or not quite negatives, but not as good as this bag, right? Which is, the back support is not as robust as this one, so under heavy loads, the Max is definitely going to be a more comfortable pack for longer distances. This has a very, very, very soft frame sheet, as you can see. And then the shoulder straps narrow quite aggressively. I wish they didn't do that. So again, I think under heavy loads, this is gonna be a much more comfortable bag. And then also, the zippers are nice. They're these, you know, YKK AquaGuard zippers, but they're a little bit more frictionful, and I feel like I have to be more delicate with them than with the Max, which is just really robustly built. I think overall, the Max does feel like a more robust bag. It will last you a long time, but this one is much more, I think, usable for most domestic civilized travel. If you're a smaller person and you're not carrying as much weight as this one. Another bag to consider is going to be the Air times 9 hours capsule pack. This is the 35-liter one. As you can see, it's technically a little bit wider than the Max. First of all, you have the same very stiff frame sheet here. You have a similar kind of overbuilt, like, and I did a full review of this bag, which I'll link below in the description below. You have a very similar kind of like really thick, you know, back panel, a kind of duffel style squircle opening, which makes for easier loading and unloading, but it gives it a similarly less than ideal capacity to size ratio. So this one, I would say the capacity size ratio is lesser than this one, and both of them are far lesser than this one, which I think has one of the best capacity to size ratios out there. When you're wearing this bag on your back, it does feel and look very visually chunky and imposing, similar to the Max, but in just a different way. This one's a little bit squarer. It's also similarly eye-catching, however. You do have a lot of the same functionality. You can have a quick stash pocket at the top. You do have an external zipper water bottle on this one. I prefer the one on the Max personally. And then you do have this top organizer panel, which has a lot of interesting organization in here, as opposed to, for example, like different pockets distributed throughout. Here you have just one big pocket with tons of internal pockets inside of there. I found that this bag was very, very frictionful to use, and I don't think it's very usable as an EDC pack once you're at your destination. But it does have a lot of the similar kind of, but slightly different aesthetic, chunky, big black travel bag. And it also does have some kind of customizable. You can stow these shoulder straps, and then there's a duffel strap that you can carry if you want to carry this thing in the kind of duffel side configuration. And finally, we have here the Evergoods Civic Panel Loader 28. So the CPL 24, this is the 28, was one of my favorite EDC bags ever. This is the V2 in the 28 that updates that significantly in many different ways. If we were to think about the Goldilocks type bag situation, big black chunky travel bags that can also work as EDC backpacks at destination, this is approaching it from like the EDC perspective, whereas the Max is approaching it from like the one bag travel bag perspective here. And what you can see right away is you're going to see, like, you have the same thing, panel loading, front clamshell, front interior pocket with lots of internal organization, separate tech panel here, no load lifters, nice robust straps, very thickly padded, and then top quick access pouch here. There are obviously some differences, you know, like there are not like all the different loops here. There's no external water bottle pockets or internal. That's a huge difference as well. And obviously like the materials are less visually exciting perhaps than the X-Pac on the Able Carry, but this is very much Evergoods' style. Now, what's interesting is everything that fits into this bag at 30 liters will fit into this bag at 28 liters, even though again, ostensibly this is a smaller bag. I feel that the organization on this bag, though maybe numerically lesser, is usably much better, or better in many cases, than the organization in this bag. So this front zipper pocket, for example, I find is much more usable. Like there's much better usable dimension inside of here. There's better organization on the inside here. Again, for EDC use cases. And then again, the panel loader is just a little bit better in terms of where the hinge point is. This mesh has its own dimension in there, so even though it doesn't stretch, it's easy to get stuff in there. And then I like that the top yoke pocket, which is sort of the characteristic of a lot of Evergoods bags, is great. Handles are really strong and robust. The other thing that I guess maybe the bags share similarly is they both feel kind of stiff on the back. This has a fairly stiff frame sheet, which is not a problem I had with the 24 liter, but for the 28, like a lot of people complain, like it feels a little bit like a board on their back, similar to here. I do think that this one, under super heavy loads, may arguably be better, more comfortable than this one. And also, if you like the look of the X-Pac, or you need the water bottle, I think that's another strength of this bag as well. It's just, like I said, it's oriented more as a one bag travel bag first, I think, and an EDC bag second, and this is the other way around. But as an EDC bag, this one's gonna be definitely a little bit better. So that's it. If you have any questions about this bag, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and if I can answer them, I will answer them. And if you have any bags you'd like me to review, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and if I own them, I will review them. Thank you very much.